Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. One of the many live images that we have all over the country and really all over the world here. This is a look over at Hartsfield-Jackson over in Atlanta. You can see several planes on the runway. That one pretty cool, taken off at this hour. We know that more Americans are expected to fly or to drive far from home over Christmas than they did last year, and that puts a cap on a very busy year for travel. I want to talk about everything travel related here as we are just a few days away from Christmas. Let's bring in Keith Jeffries, a former federal security director at LAX and vice president of K2 Security Screening Group. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to be here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Josh. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I love talking to you about anything air related. So first off, I do want to talk about holiday travel. We are less than a week away from Christmas. We've seen shots from inside airports that show just how busy they already are. How busy do we expect them to be this year compared to, let's say, the last several years?
Yeah, all the data tells us, and TSA will be the first to admit it, that this is going to be a record-breaking travel holiday season for sure. So there's going to be lots and lots of people at the airport. So make sure you're prepared if you are traveling and flying.
And my question for you is always, what is the best advice that you have for people that are planning to fly out here? Because people say arrive early, and then others will say, you know what, there's never a line. I don't have to get there that early. What is your best advice?
Yeah, Josh, I'll be honest with you. I travel very frequently, and I get there in plenty of time. So there is no myth to that, no mystery. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time. Always be patient. Don't bring your firearm to a TSA checkpoint. And in this case, since it's the holiday season, don't wrap your gifts. And I will mention one other thing, especially during the holiday season and these large crowds. You're going to have a more inexperienced population traveling as well, because they may only travel during the holiday season. With that said, make sure you know where your carry-on luggage is at all times and don't leave it unattended, because that can create some other challenges for the security personnel too.
And I want to touch on something you just said, the fact that you have to leave your gun at home. It's interesting because there are so many things that so many people don't realize you can't bring. So what is your best advice? But also, I kind of want to ask you, what are some of the weird things that you've seen people bring when you were working in security? I don't know if you can go into full detail about that.
Well, first, I remember early on when TSA first stood up, I kid you not, someone was standing in line at one of the airports I worked at the time with a 5-gallon can full of gasoline, thinking they could board the plane with it. That was in the very beginning. As more and more communication got out there, of course, letting the traveling public know what they can and can't bring. TSA's done a great job of developing a website. If you have any doubts, make sure you check that tsa.gov website to see what you can and can't bring. But there still seems to be a very small population that will bring items that are just simply prohibited, whether they're, the pocket knife that they may get for Christmas, their firearm. I'm still amazed at how many people forget where their firearm is. And that's a basic safety concept for any gun owner.
Yeah, leave your 5-gallon, I guess, drum of gasoline at home if you are going to be heading to the airport there. How does travel, let's say by air, really compare during the Christmas holiday to Thanksgiving? We always say, I feel like the day after Thanksgiving is one of the busiest travel days, several days after Thanksgiving, really that whole week. So how does Christmas travel compare to Thanksgiving travel?
Yeah, great question, Josh. I get this a lot. There really is similar in volumes, or the amount of passengers that travel. The biggest difference is for Thanksgiving, it's a very short period of time, 2 really significantly heavy days, where your Christmas holiday season is spread out over a longer period of time. So the security personnel, airport personnel, all have to be extra vigilant. The plan from Thanksgiving will be reviewed to see the successes and some opportunities for improvement, because it is going to be a more sustained period of time from about 21 December all the way till about January the 3rd.
All right, my last question for you here. How do you go about preparing for something like this? Because there are the estimates there of how many people are going to travel. I'm sure it was much different during the pandemic, where fewer people were taken to the skies there. A lot of people, if they were going somewhere, tended to drive. How do you go about preparing for something in this in the airport when you don't really know how many people are going to be traveling there?
Well, Actually, the airlines do. There's a good forecast that is shared internally with all the partners. The law enforcement partners, TSA partners, airport and airline personnel do have an idea, and it's pretty accurate on exactly how many folks are traveling so that you can prepare when your peak times are. It's all about the plan, Josh. If you've got, we call it a holiday plan. If you've got a good holiday plan, you collaborate with all those partners I just mentioned, make sure everyone's on the same page. You do that for all of your peak seasons throughout the year. And of course, then you do an assessment of that plan following something like the Christmas holidays, because many of your southeastern airports will jump right into the spring break holiday planning, which is another one. So you want to look at what went well, what do we need to improve upon, but it's a collective, collaborative effort of everyone that works in an airport.
All right, Keith Jeffries there, Vice President of K2 Screening Security Group. Always a pleasure speaking to you here. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. Anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Yeah, I would ask the traveling public, if they are traveling through the airport, take the time to say thanks to those personnel that are working in the checkpoints or at the airport ticket counters and the vendors. They're there to make sure you get to your destination safely. And of course, Josh, happy holidays to all of you.
Happy holidays. Thank you again for taking the time to be here with us.
Thank you, Josh.